Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to today's video. When I had a friend leaving my house not too long ago, I said something like, well, I'm sure that I'm going to have more inner child work to do. And she told me, well, be careful when you use the words I am, because you're actually using God's name. So just be careful about how you end that sentence. Well, that got me to really thinking about that, and I've listened to some teachings, and I'm going to link to one particularly good one down below. Um, so this all started when Moses asked God, who should he tell the people has sent him? And God answered, tell them, I am that I am. Well, when we break down that sentence, this is God's identity we're talking about. The first I am actually is inviting us to know that this is God's presence within us. And then the word that, I am that particular word says, this is how I want things to go in my life. And then the second I am, when he said, I am that I am, the second I am actually just says, yes, my prayers have been answered the way I asked for them to be. So when, I use the words I am 100 times a day, and I bet you use those words a lot as well. And when I say I'm really confirming God's identity. I'm using God's name, I. And the am part is bringing God's divine energy into the statement that I'm about to make. So you can see how important it is for us to consider how we're going to end that sentence. If I'm accustomed to saying things like, I am tired, or I am hungry, we may as well finish the sentence by saying, and that's just the way I want it to remain, because that's the power of those two words. Now, the Bible tells us that God made man in his image. So that means that in our essence, we are mirrors that reflect God's identity and energy perfectly in form. It's like we are specks of God that contain the infinite masculine and feminine power and energy all contained within us. So when God looks at you, he only sees a reflection of himself or herself. Each of us perfectly mirrors God being expressed in our individual personalities. So when I think about myself, do I see me as God sees me? As a mirror for God, can I agree with God that I am eternal, loving, healthy, and perfect in every way, and see myself just as he sees himself? A mirror shouldn't have opinions, since it only reflects what is standing in front of it. And if we refuse to see ourselves as God sees us, it is our refusal that causes the lack and limitation and hardships in our lives. We're saying to God, I understand that you tell me that I am one with you and that nothing can separate me from you. And even though that means that I have everything that you have, I'm going to live like I'm a separate being from you and that you're not a good provider for me. See what an affront that must be to God. So the message here today is just to remind us of what we have forgotten. This is not new information to any of us, but it may be so far back in the recesses that we need somebody to help us, to help remind us of who we really are. And if we're not experiencing all the love and joy and peace that we know that God is enjoying, then we are believing something that is not true about ourselves. And none of us can wake up another person, but we can help each other remember the truth about ourselves. We're on the earth today, I believe, because we are brave and courageous beings. There is nothing that can actually hold us back from being who we truly are unless we give power to something less than God. We have been conditioned by our country, our government, our society, our schools, our families, our culture, maybe I said that. We've been conditioned by them to believe that we are victims of their systems and that someone out there controls us. But their so-called control is designed to keep us small and functioning in a limited basis within their system. But in reality, no one can actually control us if we don't believe and we don't give them any power over us. For each of these man-made systems, today I ask each of us, myself included, am I willing to say now, hey, you've had a good run, and I appreciate the ways that you've protected me in probably ways that I didn't even see that you did. And I appreciate that, but I'm waking up now, and I see that you're not serving my best interest anymore. So it's time for me to cut the cords with you. Now, I don't hold any grievance against you, but I will no longer serve you. So then I can take my imaginary scissors and I can cut the ties that have bound me for years. It may be useful for us to do this in front of a mirror so that we remember that we're no longer attached to anything that says that we are less than God. So I might say, for instance, thank you, government, but I am not ruled by your systems that make promises that you will not keep. I align with God, who always keeps his promises. And I take my scissors, snip, snip. Thank you, economy, for providing goods and services that I need, but I will not resist or be angered by your inflated prices anymore. I will have the money to purchase the things I need when I need them. Snip, snip. I may say, thank you, culture and family, for helping me grow into a robust and intelligent man or woman. I am not the helpless victim that you say I am, but instead I am skilled and capable, and I will find fulfilling work to provide for me and my family. Snip, snip. So when we're no longer attached to these systems, we may feel frustration or anger rising up inside of us because we were intentionally deceived. This deception kept us from remembering the grandeur of our actual being. So we need to welcome in these negative emotions and allow the Spirit to transmute them into love. This is the process called forgiveness. It is our forgiveness that helps us dissolve the old attachments and any bad feelings towards the people who run the old systems. Most likely these people were deceived as well, and they just haven't awakened to how they can escape the system that they are running. Forgiveness is the actual means for removing the blocks to our awareness of love's presence within us. It is how we transition from 3D, third dimension, to 5D. It is when we live from the fifth dimensional awareness. This is when we're conscious of our unity with our Creator and with every other thing, every other person, and every other thing that surrounds us. We know then that we have never been separated from God, and it is God's life force that pulses through our very souls. Love is the only thing that is real, and we become passionate about offering love in every situation. Isn't that wonderful? Don't we all want that constantly in our lives? So let's imagine that God is the tree of life, and he is the trunk and the roots that go deep for that tree. And each of us is a branch in this tree, as is every other person who has ever lived. So God's love is the life force that runs through every branch. And because there's only one tree of life, what happens in the life of one branch affects all the other branches. Whatever I am experiencing radiates out to everyone else, and the same is true for you. So we shortchange the other branches, not even just us, but all the other branches, if we're not living out the highest life that matches God's power within us. So how do we get unstuck from what we've been conditioned to believe about ourselves? Well, I think we change our I am statements. First, we need to get grounded and centered in knowing that we are not separate from God and that God has given us everything pertaining to life. With this confidence, we are ready to receive all the gifts that have already been given us. For instance, if you are accustomed to saying, I am broke, remember, I am broke, now consciously change that to say, I am on my way to financial success and freedom. Instead of saying, I am sick, say, I am feeling the power of being healed and healthy. Rather than saying, I am bad at relationships, we can say, I am a good friend and I bring love and joy to all the people around me. It may be helpful to make these statements in front of a mirror so you can see and hear yourself affirm your allegiance with what God says about you. You can journal these new thoughts about yourself so that you can read them every day. This is the repetition that we all need. It's important to repeat these things consciously and to feel what it would feel like if this life was already yours. How does a person who has this life walk? Do they walk confidently with their head up? Hold on a second. Are they always smiling? Are they ready to engage pleasantly with every person they meet? I'm talking here about actually embodying this new life before it appears. This is where the conscious and the subconscious minds converge. The seed gets planted consciously in our minds, and it gets watered and nurtured subconsciously in our hearts. It's very important to give these seeds that we've planted, giving them time to grow into what we have called forth from the universe. I heard someone use the metaphor that we wouldn't order a meal from a fine restaurant and after just a few minutes go into the kitchen to see if the cook is making progress, and after a few more minutes go in and just ask if we can just cook our meal ourselves. No, it's a matter of embodying the energy of having the life that we've asked for while we wait for that or something better to appear. We are the conscious observers who allow God to work in the empty space after we have spoken a particular I am statement that aligns with God's thoughts about us. So as we move into unity consciousness, 5D awareness, we're going to find that many of our I am statements and our prayers have to do with bringing things, peace and joy and love to our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. The more that I know myself as peace, then I will say things like, I am peace, and I extend peace to all my brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Because remember, we all share God's one life. So my peace can radiate to the other branches as I direct it. When I've attained financial freedom, I may say, I am free of debts, and I extend my excitement for having financial success to my family who live in Nigeria. God's energy is not confined by time and space, so I can send it all over the world as well as to past and future generations. So in summary, I create reality from what I say I am. So this is a way of being, and this beingness transcends the low-level functioning that we've been trained to do by our man-made systems. So I'm inviting each of us to throw away the role of being a sponge that just absorbs anything that anyone says about us. This is the time for us to step out of victimhood into knowing that what appears in our lives is only a mirror for what is going on in our own hearts and minds. We are the creators of our reality. So let's enjoy the most exciting life that we can possibly have by being intentional and careful in having our words mirror what God thinks about us. God bless you so much. I love you. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button. I just enjoy this. Is Memorial Day, and I want to also thank all of our veterans, and obviously that I hold dear in my heart all those who've died in serving our country for our freedom. This is about us all getting free. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye bye.